Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We do apologise, as you can see, the weather, we can do nothing about the weather. I'd just like to start off by saying welcome, and you people are struggling through the snow, so we understand. Thank you for your company this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, we just have to run through the housekeeping. First of all, if you do have a hearing aid, if you turn to the letter T, you'll be able to follow the service more closely. Excuse me. In the event of a fire, if the fire alarm were to sound, everyone on this side of the church, if you make your way to the back, through the doors there, and out onto Chadwick Street. This side of the church, or using the conveniences, out into the foyer and onto the car park. Please don't come back into the church until the beginning of your clear. All mobile phones, would you make sure that your mobile phones are turned off, please? Right, ladies and gentlemen. Our service today, there should have been quite a lot of people who need to be honoured guests, Gordon's family, Eric Hatton, unfortunately Eric can't, but we will carry on regardless. So I'd like to now turn the service over to Mr. Gerald Smith. Gerald.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. And although we're very, very depleted, for obvious reasons, still has extended to you on behalf of the church as the president a very warm welcome. I extend the same also. And yes, we can't do anything about conditions such as this today. But we do know that we've got in the church, we've got people that have come as far as Kent. He didn't travel today, I have to tell you. He travelled yesterday and stayed in the travel lodge. But we've also got with us, we've also got our warden, Derek Jones and his wife, who come all the way from Coventry, just arrived. We've got Hugh and Margaret Davis who serve our church, and they've come all the way from Tamworth. So they've made great efforts, and we're very delighted and very pleased. We've also got Lynn and Brett Haynes, who they tell me they live right in the middle of Cannock Chase. I said literally, and she said yes, right in the middle of Cannock Chase. So I said, well, you'll be used to these conditions. But we are going to continue today, and if you're a number that we are, and you can see we've also got no organist who also has not been able to join us today. So we're without any music at all. But we're going to, because Frank Tams, who was also another pioneer at Longton Church, and was the business partner to Gordon Higginson, this was his favourite hymn. Oh, the earth, the dawn is breaking, angels whisper through the room. So if you'd like to stand and sing as loud as you can, so we can. Oh, the earth, the dawn is breaking, angels whisper through the gloom. Man from his long sleep is waking to the light beyond the tomb. Let us then be all united, one great army of the free, and the watch will on our banner, union strong we silence of the afternoon that has brought us together here in our church, a temple united to that of the Spirit, and to the work of the Spirit, and also to the memories of those who have gone before us, those who have been pioneers of our movement, those who have given so much to the cause in which we're proud and recognise and understand within our being of the very things which we know their determination and dedication brought about that wonderful awareness of the things in which we're part of today. And therefore, as we honour them, that as we come to this service, the memorial service, to one who gave so much to the cause of spiritualism in this area, to Stoke-on-Trent, to both he and his mother, the Minister Gordon Higginson and Fanny Higginson, we honour their memory. For we know that it is those memories and things of the past that enable us and help us to be part of the present. For it is those things that have meant so much, that have brought about and given to us an understanding and a recognition somehow of that power which we know and we understand as a power that is supreme and divine, a power which is the eternal Spirit, that has brought about in the beginning of each and every one of us our birth, a power that has ordained and has given to us in so many ways an awareness throughout our lives that has given to us inner strength and courage, helped us to overcome adversity, and to find within the things that have come through the message of the Spirit not only that life is eternal, but also that awareness of those things that have purpose and meaning. And so this day, as we come before you, and we've been part of that power since our waking moment, for we know that that power is eternal, as both Gordon and his mother Fanny recognised through their journey and through their unfoldment of the gifts of the Spirit. We thank you most sincerely, Gordon, and we thank you too, Fanny, for that wonderful awareness that you brought into the very midst of Stoke-on-Trent, those things which were of the Spirit. Amen. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Well, throughout this project that's led up to today, we've had a lady that is a member of our church, Mrs. Emily, and she's been the coordinator of a lot of the things that have gone on, that have brought us to this present point, along with our President Phil Brooks, and also Mr. John Mansell, who's also a Vice President of the church. He isn't here at the moment because he was here yesterday in this building, although he had to be with his wife at the hospital. She's not very well at this time, so I'm sure our thoughts are with them. But they had a phone call last night to say that he'd got to take his wife in at 8 o'clock this morning. So things change dramatically, and they change in all our lives, don't they? From minute to minute, as we know. But nevertheless, it is with those that have done such a lot towards today, and also to the other committee members and the officers. But I'm going to call upon Mrs. Edna Finn, who's going to give a reading to us today.
Good afternoon. I want to start by reading an apology that I received on the 6th of August last year. And I think that when you've heard it, you'll realise why it needs to be read out and shared amongst everyone. Dear Mrs. Finn, the Prince of Wales has asked me to thank you for your letter of July, which you kindly enclosed a copy of On the Side of Angels. Thank you for taking the time to write. Your kind invitation for the 18th of January next year was much appreciated. I regret, however, that His Royal Highness will not be able to attend the service. Sadly, as I know you will understand, the pressures on the Prince of Wales' diary means that it is not possible to include all the engagements that you would wish to undertake. Nevertheless, this letter comes with His Royal Highness's good wishes and renewed thanks. And we now know that Ellen Tarry and her son will have sight of Gordon's book 22 years after it was written. 22 years. And we know that it's, well, I know that it's in Clarence House at the moment, and it is a fact that any factual books that the royal family receive are within their collection for their lifetime. And eventually, when he becomes monarch, it will be in Windsor Castle. And I find that's one of the highest places on the earth plane that Gordon should be, and quite rightly so. And so we're very grateful for this to be accepted, and I'm sure that Gordon will be the last one to think that a member of the royal family should have this book, but I think it's very important that they should. Now, the reading was given to me at the 10th of July last year at 2:55 a.m. It's the elders of the spirit world. The elders called a meeting to arrange a great feast. It was to be a feast of knowledge, to be understood by man and beast. The knowledge was to be spiritual, of how our lives were to be spent. While we're on the earth plane, how we must work to pay our rent. The rent, the divine stated, would be paid in prayer and deed, and we would be told to seek out all those in need. Who could they choose to spearhead this? They thought with all their might. I know such a shining one, a man whose spirit name is life.
Thank you very much. Beautiful reading, very appropriate, that word. And it was, of course, light that was brought into, in the very beginning, into our church, both through the work of the Higginson family. And anybody that would perhaps not know, but there will be people who certainly did, that we were very fortunate on Christmas morning, because on one occasion, where that particular control spoke, it was Christmas morning. Light came and addressed us, and they were wonderful times and wonderful days. It is, of course, with sadness, but we understand why, that both the family of Mrs. Hazel Goodwin, she would, I think, have been 97. I'm sure it's her birthday's in January. Am I right about that, Peter?
Oh, I remember.
You are right. Well, I'm sure she was 97, that's what the sister, of course. Her daughter, Leslie, and her husband, Bert, unfortunately, the other side's happened, but they're not here. And also Leslie's cousin, which would be Gerald, that was Gordon's brother. His daughter Gillian, she also is not here, so it's with sadness that they're not here today, but we do understand why. So I'm going to ask two other committee members, one of them being an officer, Mrs. Marie Newitt, and her sister Jackie Machin, are going to come forward for the unveiling of the two portraits which are long overdue inside the church, both for Gordon and also for his mother. Thank you very much. Thank you for your we've got a jeweller's shop in Longson. We haven't got much left in Longson, but we certainly have got a jeweller's shop which those from the locality will be quite aware of. Williamson's. It's a name that is renowned in Longson, in particular for quality, and when you step inside the shop, it's still as it was all those years ago. It's just like being in Dickens' day. It's got beautiful interiors, wonderful displays, and it's Williamson's that have done us very proud of the portraits. They did the originals, didn't they? And the original of Mrs. Higginson, of course, will be with her daughter, Hazel. So thank you very much, Marie, and thank you, Jackie, for the unveiling of that. We're going to sing our second hymn. If you'd like to be standing, please. And it's "O Worship the King, All Glorious Above." This was a favourite of Gordon, so if you'd like to join in singing in honour of Gordon, please. Thank you.
Worship the King, all glorious above, oh gratefully sing His power and His love, our shield and defender, the ancient of days, pavilion in splendour and gilded with praise. The earth with its store of wonders untold, Almighty thy power hath founded of old, established it fast by a changeless decree, and round it hath cast like a mantle the sea. Thy bountiful care, what tongue can recite? It breathes in the air, it shines in the light, it streams from the hills, it descends to the plain, and sweetly distills in the dew and the rain. O measureless might, ineffable love, what angels delight to hymn thee above. Thy humbler creation, though feeble their age, with true adoration shall list to thy praise.
Just going to call upon one or two people to come forward to pay tribute today to Gordon, people certainly that have known Gordon, if not as long as myself, longer, but very involved, nevertheless, with spiritualism over the years. So I'm going to call upon Mr. Derek Jones, who will be representing the SMU Trust, but he is also, along with his wife, they are very involved at Coventry and Coventry Church, Eagle Street, which Gordon will have served over the years too. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a privilege and a pleasure to stand here today to give those thoughts to Gordon for all his work in spiritualism, for all his help to all of us, giving us that pathway and that understanding to spirit, and linking us all together. Yes, he came quite often to Broadgate Spiritualist Church. I don't know whether he come to take the service or whether he come for the meal afterwards. Because we know, like spiritualists, we say, I wonder whether they remember me. 3 years ago, I was in New Zealand, and I was at a seance, and Gordon come through and said, are you still making those trifles, Derek? Are they still as good? That is something I think touches you, when you know that they are still remembering those little things that are so important to them and important to us. And yes, we do hear from Gordon in many different ways, not only me, but a lot of people do. And it's nice that he is still there and still understanding us. I'm sure that Dorothy Hudson would like to be here today, but she again is 97. She just moved from her home, and I know that she would also endorse this wonderful opportunity, because she was very close with Gordon, and when we go to see her, she often talks about Gordon. And as the chairman said, as secretary of the SNU Trust, I would like to bring the greetings from the SNU Trust to this wonderful celebration of the life of Minister Gordon Higginson. Someone again that worked so closely with all the branches within the union, knowing that we could always look upon Gordon, ask Gordon, and he would speak to you as a man. But his services and his unbelievable addresses were so pure and so beautiful with that spirit touch. I think all of us in our own time have envied that and would like to get to that standard, because he would only say, it's just natural, it's just ordinary. And I know that that's the way Gordon would think. I'd like to also bring greetings from the West Midlands District Council, because again, he worked very hard with all district councils. He worked very hard with all people. He helped so many churches without taking at all from them, but giving himself. Giving his time, and I know sometimes he would give his time when he was not in the best of health. But Gordon would always be there. Gordon would give us that upliftment, would show us the way. He wouldn't ask anyone to do something that he couldn't do himself. I remember in the old church, we decided to go to a Sunday evening service, and we were late, because of today with the snow, but we were a bit late going there because we hadn't made up our mind a little late. So we crept in at the back, and Gordon was sitting on the platform. He stands up, goes to the mic, and he said, would my two friends that have just come in late come and sit on the front here, please? I don't know whether that was being naughty children or what. But he had that thought. He knew everybody. He knew you by name, and he was always there to help us and give us that understanding that life is eternal. I know he'll be here. I know he'll be with us. So Gordon, we look
Gordon today. I'm now going to call upon officiant Margaret Davis, who also, along with her husband, who Gordon personally, and has served our church, of course, for many, many years. So thank you very much, Margaret.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's indeed a pleasure and a privilege to be requested at the last minute to come up here and indeed have memories to do with Gordon. But that is a little bit typical of what Gordon used to do as well. Always throw you in at the deep end, whether you were expecting it or not, or hoping for it or not. Because our time of remembrance does go quite a few years. I think the very first time we heard Gordon demonstrate was in the centre of Birmingham. We weren't late, but we were still not being able to take a seat. We were standing behind a pillar. And typical Gordon, it didn't matter where anybody was in the congregation. he knew exactly where he wanted to go to. And it was a message that first began not only just our understanding of Gordon and the wonderful work that he had been doing for so many years already, but it made us smile, it made us laugh, and it brought a joy into our lives. Some simple evidence that he gave, and knowing what was taking place in our life, was just completing the fact that he was aware of bottles going pop over in our bedroom, over the wardrobe, which is where we actually stored some. I'm not going to say I didn't think alcoholic. It wasn't. It was elderflower champagne, which isn't alcoholic. But they exploded, and that to us really struck a chord in our memory, and that was just the beginning of our association with him. We've had the privilege of hosting him in our own home, which really took me totally by surprise, because normally when Gordon was within close distance to Longton Church, even though he may have agreed to serve for a complete weekend, he would do the Saturday service normally, come back to Longton Church and be there for the Sunday morning service, and then go back to whichever church it was that he'd agreed to serve in the evening. But no, for a change, Gordon actually accepted, as I said, much to my surprise. But it was a privilege that, again, something that has never been forgotten. He relaxed extremely well. He was just like any other guest we may have had in our home. He played the piano, a talent that he'd also got. He shared that with us. When we told him of a long-standing medium being in a home close by, he knew her, and he asked that we take her to see her. Always there would seem to be, even though he may not consciously have been aware of it, yet he also knew that he had to be in the right place at the right time to accomplish something that linked him to the power of the Spirit. Our journey has been one that has been encouraged by him many times, something that Gerard mentioned. That encouragement that's not just been for us personally, that has taken us on a long journey, but is still encouraging students that go down to the college, that never ever met him, but they have seen his portrait hanging in the library. They may have heard tales of him, but some have actually recounted experiences of being there, having a quiet meditation in the library, just looking at his picture. And there they have found something that has given them strength and encouragement to keep on keeping on. And those words he used many, many times in various fashions, when students may have asked him privately about whether what they were doing was right or wrong. Should they continue, or should they find a different avenue to take their talents forward? And it was always the fact, no, keep on with what you're doing, persevere. And that is what he would say to each and every one of you here in Longton Church. You've inherited a wonderful heritage from people of such standing that surely you can but keep on keeping on. His message of the spirit world was not just for the communications of improving life eternal, not just for the wonderful addresses that were given through light, which we personally never had the time and the family to come and share in on a Christmas morning. But we did hear Choo Chow many times in different circumstances. But he also, we know, was an exceptional healer. He was able to diagnose with great accuracy and help so many people in that direction. In some ways, when I talk about him to other students, to me he's exemplified what a complete medium has the potential to become. And I know, like Ursula Roberts, who spoke to us once, well, several times, but on one occasion, She said, never ever try to emulate myself, or think that you have got to try to achieve what I've achieved. You've got to be yourself and know that it is possible to do better. Well, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could turn around now and have even half of us millions who could accomplish what Gordon could in his lifetime? But then we've got the future in front of us, and who knows what lies before us. But if we don't keep on trying to achieve, then how can we possibly continue to succeed? And how can we, who are now left behind, be those that can help to inspire those that are yet to come into our churches and to begin their pathway of discovering their inner spiritual gifts? Gordon was no saint. We know that he had the nickname of being God. When people related to him and spiritualism, people looked on him in that fashion. But he was as human as anybody else. Hugh actually cleaned his car out on that weekend that he actually stayed with us. And if that was a measure of being perfect, well, it definitely proved that he wasn't. Because his car was not exactly an example for what people would like to see. But that, you see, was the human side of Gordon. So many people put him on a pedestal and didn't have the time or the privilege of being able to relate to him as the man and the human being that he was. We feel that we have been privileged to be part of just a minute part of that personality that we shall never forget, because it's always interpenetrated our life through giving us encouragement and the steadfastness to keep on keeping on. So if there was nothing else that we would give you thanks for, Gordon, it is for that encouragement, that love and that unstinting devotion to the power of the Spirit and the truth of life eternal. And we do indeed give our grateful thanks.
Thank you very much, Margaret, for the beautiful memories and all the things that you've shared and inspired you and also inspired us. And lastly, it would be very remiss of me not to call upon Eric. Would you, as a personal friend, would you feel you would just like to say a few words?
Yeah, I'll say a few words.
Yes, yes.
I'm not very good at speaking.
No, it doesn't matter. It will come from the heart.
I'm sure we're president of the church, and Gerardo I've known for many, many years, and who opened the service here when this church was opened with a wonderful communication. In fact, in that case, I would say it's good as full. That was something to say as well. But having known him for well over 25 to nearly 30 years, it was a privilege to be there for him. And he always knew that if he wanted me, he would bring me out and I'd be there. And it's funny enough, if I rang him, he said, I'm just going to ring you, so come and pick me up, and God knows where he was. And Jimmy and I'm sorry that she's not here because I haven't seen her since the funeral some 20 years ago, because she looked after Gordon with Frank, her husband, and the business, with Frank Towns. Of course, he passed a few years beforehand, and they worked so hard, and people was always ringing up. But she never knew where Gordon was from one day to the next. She never knew when he would arrive back, or when he would go. He'd arrive at midnight or something, and the next morning he would be up first thing in the morning, and we had a signal to ring, so she knew to answer it, to tell what she needed. But to know Gordon was a privilege, and wherever we went in England, I say England and Scotland, won't mention much, but I think we never ever went to Wales. There was always someone come up, even in Europe, there was always someone when we walked through come along and said, hello Gordon. They always knew their names. I can't remember anybody's name these days, and when I look at my many old photographs, and they say who's that, and I can't remember the old mediums. But there we are. So he came and stayed with me several times, and he came over to Spain and stayed with me in Spain, and of course he went to Gibraltar and worked in Gibraltar with, I forget his first name, Smith. Ray Smith, that's it, yes. And of course he's passed now. But he was known everywhere. But of course, he was only known among spiritualists. He wasn't on the television really. And they're on the television and they think they're famous, and when you actually see them, they're nothing like Gordon was, with his healing, with his abilities, with his trance, with his physical leadership, with his pictures. You could sit and listen to him for 3 hours and nobody ever got, he was always late for lunch, nobody ever got fed up with listening. In that listening to Gordon, he was developing in the meditation. That is the way to learn to get in tune with the spirit world is through meditation, and to do your abilities for healing. And I always say for healing, absent healing is the best way to develop your healing to a much stronger ability. Unfortunately, I find with the healing now, we're trying to go away from God, and they're trying to go away from guides. And soon I said, well, if someone joined here in a few years' time, they won't even know that this group started as spiritualists in the church. And I said, it's going to be a shame. Forget about God. They want to take in other forms of healing, alternative therapies, and take more money from them and forget about development. And I think this is going to be the shame of the spiritualist movement. Because even at Stansted, I don't think they really ever pushed healing to its proper ability as it should be. When I worked there, we all called ourselves the Bedouin healers, because one way was here, someone was there, and then they actually done the Pioneer Centre for us, and then first thing they done is stuck us in a little room. So, but I say without Gordon, the union wouldn't be here today, and certainly the college wouldn't have been here. He was a person who got a one receipt to lose millions of pounds to them, which is why they spent so much money they can't spend it. Now, when he went there, the people from Longton and family went down. It was a tumble-down building, and even in the later days, even in the 70s, they had a corridor where they had their rooms, and one bathroom for all of them at one end, and a toilet. And so he persevered and he worked very hard for it, and I think the union have got something really to thank him for what he done for the union. And this church, I imagine this church really was here because of how he managed to raise it. With that, the other church was always packed. 2 floors, upstairs was full, downstairs was full, people on the staircase. Always a meal, always someone to welcome there. Never, he was so privileged and funny because his development was, of course, we found him as a baby, going in in a pram and sitting by the side and then sitting for hours every week just in the church to meditate and practice. And as a speaker, you could just listen to him. I think it was a privilege to know him all those many, many years. And one of the things he did tell me, though I will say this, that first of all, he says, look, the church will be here till I go. When I finish my book, which he hadn't started then, he said, when I finish my book, the church will go and I will go. And in fact, I picked him up on the 13th of January at Higginson Station, took him to G. Bassett's, or took G. Bassett with me, he took a back, and he finished off his book, took him off to the college. It was closed then, and John Dunn was there doing painting and decorating. And he finished his book, and I never thought about it then, that this would be the last time I would see him. And so that was a privilege. And to show him, he said, all those maybe 25, 30 years ago, he told me that. And that was told before that, he knew that before I met him, that went down and then the church disappeared. And now you've got this marvellous church, but you haven't got the same consecration, I'm afraid. But maybe you will. Someone like Gerald should help you to fill it. Because Gerald is one of the good mediums of today. And so many now are not mediums. And mediumship needs to be got down to becoming a medium. It's a privilege to be asked to come here today after all these years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for the tributes, the 3 people that have contributed, and I'm sure other people here but also have said things and have brought about an awareness of their particular connection with Gordon over the years. He like anybody, he had this human side of his life, and Margaret touched upon it. in different ways with his car, and also how he would relax in people's company. One of the things that he certainly enjoyed was music. He got his own personal preferences, like we all have, and he was particularly fond of Ida Novello, so we couldn't let the day go by without listening to something which he loved very, very deeply, and which he would have, well, I even remember him playing at the piano at Stansted. So we're now going to listen to one of those choices of Gordon's, again in memory of him. Thank you very much, Dave.
Dearest dear, if I could say to you, in words as clear as when I play to you, you would understand how slight a shadow that is over as the world. So take my hand, I'll lead the way, a little waiting, and you will reach my heart.
I'm not going to do justice this afternoon in the sense of the, if you like, the address that we would have had from Minister Eric Hatton, because he, in his own right, with all his experience and also the countless things that he could have shared with you and told to you, as other people have done, relating to Gordon. So I shall keep this part of it, in a sense, briefer than it might have been. But yes, we can look back, and I did say in the newsletter at the beginning of the year that Gordon was a seer, that he was a visionary, and so he had many, many gifts of the Spirit, and it was certainly, as Eric Williams also said, how fortunate we were. We were fortunate as a movement, undoubtedly. We were also very fortunate in Stoke-on-Trent. We were fortunate with his mother, Mrs. Higginson, and also with his son. They were chalk and cheese, and anybody that remembers Mrs. Higginson, and there could be some that will and some not, but anybody that knew her, she was a household name in Stoke-on-Trent, and even today people talk about somebody belonging to the family, or somebody would have known or gone along to Mrs. Higginson. All the pottery works round and about. I should think that most ladies that worked there at one time or another had been along to Mrs. Higginson. So she was as good a psychic as she was a medium. She was very, very, very down-to-earth person. And there were many things, again, what one could say about Fanny and about how she was and her character, because she was one of those people that was a character. God was a character too. And so he got these different sides of his nature. Sometimes it was almost enigmatic. He was mercurial because he changed sometimes, and that was all partly to do with his work and being in that power and that energy of the Spirit and the things that came about through the Spirit and the wonderful work of how he changed and he transformed people's lives through his gifts. And it changed us in such a way. Certainly changed mine all those years ago, just over 40 years ago it was. But certainly when I think of today, and I woke up this morning hoping that it wouldn't have been any more than it was around 9 o'clock last night, and also that it wouldn't be snowing again. However, that's how it is. But I can remember many occasions of leaving the college, sometimes on a Friday evening, because I was travelling back with him. And we weren't always travelling back to Stoke-on-Trent. And there were occasions where I was in the car accepting the lift and finding myself in another part of the country. And I say, we're going the wrong way, or we're just going to so-and-so before we go home. I remember coming back on a Saturday, with an NEC meeting, and those could go on very lengthy. And this particular one, which had started on the Friday and continued into the Saturday, and I was again travelling with Gordon. We weren't coming back to Stoke-on-Trent. We should have been that morning, we should have been in St. Anne's. And the lady there, who, had she been able to, had she been to be part of today, then she would have been a lady called Jean Matheson, and she organised these events in St. Anne's, and she'd been on the phone 2 or 3 times that morning to the college, wondering where we were, and at coffee time in the morning he sort of appeared. I was in the gallery and said, we won't be much longer now. And so it got to lunchtime, and we had lunch, and the general manager came and said, why are you staying? I said, well, I'm waiting for Gordon because we're going to St. Anne's. He said, St. Anne's? I said, well, yes, that's where Gordon's is this weekend, and I'm there taking part. He said, Gordon should be in Bournemouth. I said, oh, I don't know anything about that, Charles, I'm afraid. And so sometimes there were situations that occurred. You know, he was never very good with the diary, was Gordon. Somebody else had to keep the diary for him. And so there were these occasions where things sort of happened of that nature. But it was very, very, very foggy. And I do mean very foggy. When we left the college at 7 o'clock in the evening, we got to St. Anne's, I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning. But there we were, and there he was the next day, giving a lecture at 10 o'clock in the morning. And this was the nature somehow of Gordon, because nothing seemed to, on the surface, nothing seemed to sort of bother him. We do know, however, that he would very often, before his services, he would be pacing up and down, and he would probably have to make frequent visits because of this nervousness that comes to the lavatory. But he could still, in these situations, he just seemed to somehow, because he'd been, for decades, he'd been in the power of the Spirit. His life had been the Spirit. And so this contact to do with the Spirit, which was all-consuming, somehow just instantly changed and transformed various things that we saw in terms of the work that Gordon was able to, through those that worked with him and helped him in so many different ways. He was very humorous too. He had a very humorous side of his nature, and there were all kinds of things really about Gordon and his personality. Again, that one sort of could share it and sort of be part of. So we get little snippets here and there, and perhaps those that were particularly closest to him, and indeed that household which Peter Eric talked about, to do with Gillian and her husband and the running of the business. They had this other side of Gordon. They had Gordon the man, as it were, and we had Gordon who was the spiritualist and who was the minister and did so much. And so contrary in the sense of its history, has to be very proud of those pioneers, those early pioneers, which were the Higginsons, both Gordon and his mother. I was fortunate in many respects because of many things that I was able to, through Gordon's mediumship and his work. Not only did he help me personally, but also the very things that I was able to see and to witness. I was also fortunate because there were other occasions which were an absolute plus. And I can remember one Friday we were leaving the college and heading for, of all places, London. Didn't know we were heading for London, thought we were coming home. But when we arrived in London, we went to the home of Maurice and Sylvie Barbanel, where he was expected. And on that one occasion, I sat in that circle with Maurice Barbanel. And what a wonderful privilege and what a wonderful experience that was to have been part of that. Because when we arrived there, he told me where we were and where he was going. I said, "Oh, he won't be expecting me." Oh, he said, "It won't make any difference." He said, "You'll come in as well." And so there I was in the corner of the room. But it was the most wonderful, wonderful thing. And so all of those things, somehow, have touched me and touched my life and changed my life in a very sort of profound way, in many ways, and on different levels, to do with this inspiration, because it brought this inspiration, and he brought such solace and comfort and all manner of things really into the lives of so many people. I know we used to have in the old church, as we do in this church, we have 2 services, and across from the old church was the public library, and on the other corner was what I think in its time would have been described as a sort of a lodging house, which was really for down and out men. And quite often in between the 2 services, somebody from there would wander in, usually just for a cup of tea. But there were occasions when Gordon was there, and we used to think, soft touch, because he would give sometimes to some of those people, he would give them some money. And I can remember one occasion, a gentleman turning up in that circumstance, and Gordon had taken him off into one of the healing rooms. It was quite a while there with him. He came out, and somebody, one of the ladies it was, sort of said to him, "I don't know, Gordon, you know, you're going to have to." He said, "His mother was with him. I needed to speak to him." And so he had this sign through his contact with the spirit and through the energy, and there were situations, so many situations, and there were so many people that loved Gordon, that absolutely loved Gordon, and loved everything about him. Many of those people now, of course, either went before him or after him to the spirit world, and so it's a wonderful sense of the things that they too would have experienced. There's another lady that was very sort of devoted to at Stansted, Eva French. There's several names that I could think about. I thought when Peter was paying this tribute and he said, Smith, I thought he was talking about me. But he was actually talking about.
We would arrive at 3 o'clock in the morning and Eve would sit there.
Yeah, she was waiting.
Always waiting for it.
Yes. Tea and toast.
And when I turned up in the middle of the day, she got really annoyed because she knew Gary was disappearing.
Well, I'm sure that he.
I'm sure that she's
today
waiting for it.
somehow will be somehow just part of this occasion. I'm quite certain of that, and I'm quite sure that Mrs. Higginson, his mother, and so many of the other stalwarts of the church, the last of which went last year, which was Marjorie Heath, known as Seth, that these people will be together. They'll be together in this world that somehow brought about. And it was with that in mind that I should just finish in the sense of mine. I'll call it tribute rather than an address. I'm just found the hymn of looking for. That I used in the magazine the General. There's a land of fadeless beauty, right beyond the narrow sea, where the rainbow lasts forever, and life eternal be. And that's really what Gordon has stood for in so many different ways. And it's that wonderful sort of connectedness to do with the two worlds, to do with the energy of the two worlds. So I certainly thank him this day on behalf of our church. I thank his mother also for her wonderful work and all the various things that they sort of gave to the people of Stoke-on-Trent. Because in very difficult times, in very times of adversity, when people struggled and like so many people did in certain periods, wartime, and as it moved on into decades when there was still very much, but the heart of the community somehow was there, even in neck end. We're referred to as neck ends, partly to do with Buckingham, the shape, and also partly to do with, if you think of a poorer cut of meats. Well, we were in many ways, there was a lot of poor people in Stoke-on-Trent, there still is. You're looking at one here, on the black, no, but joking apart. It was a much poorer area, it was an industrial area, but we had wonderful things through all that. And we had wonderful people that gave so much, really. And the Higginsons undoubtedly did that. Throughout those two generations, they gave so much to the people of Stoke-on-Trent. So I'm very proud that I knew them, and I'm also very proud to be part of the service along with you today. So thank you, Gordon, and thank you, family, also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to sing our third hymn, which is God of the right and of the earth, the sun and the sky and the green. If you understand,
Of the granite and the rose, so of the sparrow and the bee, the mighty tide of being flows through countless channels, Lord, from thee. It leads to life in grass and flowers, through every cradle being rose, till from creation's radiant towers, His glory flames in stars and suns. Oh, you sit and gaze on life with folded hands and fettered will, who only see amid the strife the dark supremacy of ill. No blood like birds and streams and flowers, their life and pursuit is divine. No time nor space, nor human powers, your godlike spirit can confine. God of the granite and the rose, so of the sparrow and the bee, the mighty tide of being flows through all thy creatures back to thee. Thus round and round the circle runs, a mighty sea without a shore, while men and angels, stars and stars, unite to praise thee evermore.
thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to now ask the to share his little music.
Well, as they say in that song, we shall overcome. And I think they've done that with the singing, don't you? Because it has been really, truly, considering the number and considering we haven't got the organist, you've sung very heartily for this day, for the tribute, and I'm quite sure that Gordon himself and the Spirit Lord will be very proud and very pleased. He also mentioned, and I remember coming on Christmas Eves and Christmas mornings when we had this sort of weather and worse and walking, but we got there, and even then, even though there may have been smaller numbers, nevertheless we had this wonderful sense of energy, and you generated an energy this afternoon between you, which is always something quite lovely in a sense to be part of, because it's all very conducive. It's all very conducive towards this part of a service. So I was very conscious that, and I forget who was sort of speaking, I think it might have been Margaret, it was during somebody giving a tribute. I'm very, very conscious of somebody that seemed to give to me a name of Dale. I seem to have this name of Dale. Now I didn't know at first because you get unusual Christian names today. So I wasn't sure it was a Christian name or whether it was a surname. I wasn't sure whether it was the name of the place. But in actual fact, it is a name, and it is something to do with a surname. It's something to do with a surname. And I seemed to pick up on a lady. A lady seemed to come from the spirit world. But I had this feeling or this impression that I got a gentleman that was in the background. I'm not saying they're together. I'm not aware of that at this point. But I also wanted to, because it almost seemed as though, for some reason, it almost seemed that the gentleman that I picked up on was giving me this impression as if he sort of got in his hand, he seemed to have in his hand, or he seemed to be making aware for some reason. I just felt as if I'd got these flowers that were coming off the gentleman. And I got something to do with, because the gentleman seems to give to me something about, something to do with the name of Rose or Rosalind. It's a name like this that I seem to be picking up on. Does anybody know anything about this name of Dale, or at all, or anything about? Do you understand the name of Dale? Yes.
And Rosalind.
And Rosalind. You understand both the names? Are they connected or are they separate?
One view of the other.
One view of the other. Okay, right. Okay. And I don't know whether. Right. I don't know whether. I don't know whether for some reason you haven't in your home I'm talking about now. You haven't done any with any flowers, have you?
Yes. Yeah.
You've done something with some flowers.
Yes, flowers and Christmas.
Yes. Have you sort of deadheaded it, you're taking some out and then just change the water or something?
Yeah.
Something like this. Right. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because it's this lady, this lady that's coming from the spirit world, and it's something to do with this name Dale. Something to do with this name Dale. And she just seems as if she's making me aware, she's looking on. And I had this impression of it because I felt I'd got some sort of twine. I felt I'd got twine, and I also felt I'd got this pair of scissors. And I felt as if I was snipping, and I could see all manner of things, greenery, this sort of thing, that seemed to be in some way, some kind of a memory, or some sort of image that this lady was giving to me. Can you understand that?
Yeah, she was a florist.
She was a florist, that's it. But this is where this connection is then, because there's something in relation to this lady, and there's something about, there's something to do with, as I say, this twine and the scissors and this kind of thing that I'm seeing. And I'm very conscious then that the gentleman that's sort of in the background, because I can feel him, and I felt that when I was talking about the fact that he seemed to have some flowers in his hands, but they seem now, they almost seem, in some ways, as if that they've become larger. When I say larger, it's because I can see them. And I'm just looking at, because he's bringing there this man, he's just bringing there these roses from the spirit world at the moment. He's giving these, but it was he that seemed to be giving to me this name, which I wasn't certain at first whether it was Rose or Rosalind, but it's this name of Rosalind, you say, and there's something to do with this. There's something to do with that name that's connecting in with the gentleman, because he's just saying to me, it's Stan, it's Stan, it's Stan. Do you understand that? Because I'm just very, very conscious again of this feeling that seems to come in. And I want you to, because there is something to do, and I don't know whether at one time, you would have known anything, but it almost seems as if I was sort of writing there, and I was just looking as he came in front of me, but I got something to do with it, and I thought it was a name, and I don't think it's got anything to do with the gentleman, but I thought it was a name of Elkin, that I seemed to sort of pick up on. And it almost seems that it would have been part of a shop or something. Do you understand that?
Yes, it was.
It was yes, something about a shop. It's definitely something to do with a shop, because it was as if it was above a shop or connected to a shop. And at one time, there would have been something either very near to the shop, but it all seems to have gone. It almost seems as if it's gone. And it's just as if this man, it's just as if something to do with Stan seems to give an impression to me. So whatever it is that has gone, I think that he would have known something about that, or known something to do with the area. Do you understand that? Yes, because he's giving, or he's just bringing there this feeling to me at the present time. And he's very ponderous, this man, very, very ponderous, and he sort of, he seems to sort of sit back, and in some ways it's almost as if he's kind of just taking it all in his stride a little, and he's just looking towards you, and he says, you know, you can always put your head on my shoulder. You can always put your head on my shoulder. He says, because I listen to you, and I'm there, he's saying, I'm there for you from the spirit world. And so he's bringing that feeling, but he's bringing this love, because I can feel this love very much that's coming from him today as I'm talking to you. And I wanted to, I just wanted to, in the sense of that contact, because there would have been, and I don't know whether, yes, I don't know whether you, yes, I don't know if you ever have known. Now, again, I know it could be a nickname, but it could also be a surname. I don't know if at any time you've known the name of Murphy. It's an Irish name, obviously. So whether it is, but I thought it was a surname. I didn't think it was a nickname. I actually thought it was a surname. And I felt there was somebody that had gone to the spirit world. I seemed to pick up on something to do with somebody that had gone to the spirit world, either through an accident or something relating to some kind of a tragedy. But it seemed a long time. It almost seemed a long time somehow. As if I picked up on somebody. I thought it was a young person. And it seemed to come in somewhere with this, either something to do with this name, this name of Murphy. Have you known to do with, at one time, anything to do with Green Dock Street? Yes. There's something in connection with that. There's something to do with that, because I can see it quite clearly and quite definitely. And so there was some sort of a contact or something that would have been. And I don't know, but I don't think it's on the same vibration, and I don't think it's in connection to do with that. But I'm just aware, very much aware, because Stan's just giving me something, or giving me something to do with, yes, it's not Beatty, it's Betty. So there's something to do with something called Betty. And I thought as if I wanted to speak about an arms. Something to do with an arms.
There's two of Bettys.
Right. Well, do you know both or one?
Both.
Both of them, right. Because there's something to this name Betty, that I'm just receiving. And again, I'm just sort of bringing in there at this point. You must, yes, you must sometimes, you must sit occasionally, and sometimes your mind just seems to wander, it'll just seem to go towards. And it's almost as though, in some ways, your thoughts have been picked up by those in the spirit world. He said this lady was a florist. Well, I know that she's just bringing there. She's bringing memories in. I feel she's bringing these memories in, and she's looking on. And there's something because if that's what she did, then there would have been something quite sort of, in a sense, creative to do with that person. But I feel as though she's putting her mind at the moment slightly towards something creative. I think as if you've got an idea. I don't think you've done it. I don't think it's come about. I think it's something that's either been shelved or it's something when I get time and get round to it, I'll perhaps get onto that one day, but it's something more creative. I feel there's creative something there. It's almost as if she's sort of looking on. And although in her work, most definitely she would have been once flowers, if that's what she did. But I just see a lot of colour there. So this creative thing, there's colour. It may have nothing to do with flowers, but it may have something else. There's something about it, there's something there, and I just felt that in that sense, as though you sort of had some sort of either thoughts or some kind of I don't know, an idea. You ever got a bolt of cloth, have you? Mm-hmm. Bolt of cloth? Yes. Right, yes, because there's something about some fabric. There's just something to do with some fabric, and I just picked up on this fabric. But I don't know whether that's what she, or this thought that's just being impressed upon me, is given. It just sort of came in this way. Oh, and I've just heard somebody say, I was just moving away, I just heard somebody say, what about me, Lottie? Lottie. Because somebody just said to me, Lottie, this name of Lottie, that wants to also connect there. So I'm bringing in, certainly, one or two people there from the spirit world, but it's not having that lady and the twine and so on. And then it went into the contact to do with the gentleman. But they're bringing their love to you. But it's also, I have to say, it is also these roses that I'm bringing to you from the gentleman. I think there must have been at one time. I was very old and I couldn't see it, so I can't, from that point of view, describe it. It was a feeling that I got. I think it was either with a very old rose bush or something that could have even perhaps rambled.
Roses.
Yeah, right, well, he's bringing there then. He's bringing not just the memory, but I do think he's bringing roses from the spirit world to you. Bringing these roses from the spirit world to you this afternoon. So please accept them and please take them with the love that has been given to them, being brought with it. There's somebody, and I just, I seem to get a name, but I knew it wasn't there where I was speaking. But it kept coming in front of me, and I thought it was over here somewhere, over this side of the church. But I seemed to pick up on this name. But I know that as I saw it come up in front of me, and it was very, very clear, I've got something to do with a name. Yes, it's definitely that name, because there's another name that's starting with the same letters, but it's sort of separate. Yeah, I'll come back to that in a moment. So, does anybody know anything at all to do with the name of Sherlock? Sherlock. I've got a name of Sherlock. Something to do with the name of Sherlock. It's definitely a name of Sherlock that I've picked up on. And if somebody's known it, then they would also know something to do with it, because there's another name that's coming, that's starting off similar, and yet it changes. It's something to do with the name of Shirley. So I've got a name of Sherlock, and I've got a name of Shirley. And I thought somebody would have known something, or something about this name of Sherlock, or yes, this name of Sherlock and the name of Shirley. And something about Margaret. Something to do with Margaret.
Are you saying Shirley?
No.
Not Shirley.
No, it's not Shirley.
No, Sherlock.
Pardon?
No, Sherlock.
Also, she's gold.
No, I couldn't say. They might sound, or possibly, but that's not what's going on. You've never known anybody by the name of Sherlock, have you? Sherlock. Or a name of Sherwin. Does the name Sherwin mean anything to you at all? Anything to do with a name of Margaret? No, I know she's named Margaret. There's no that I haven't lost that bit when I don't know who she is. But I've got this name Margaret somewhere that seems to come in with this name Sherlock, Sherwin. There's these two names that I kept getting, and if that is so, then there's been something to do with somebody either belonging to Margaret or something to do with somebody that would have had the name of Audrey. Does the name Audrey mean anything at all? Audrey.
We would know several Audreys.
I feel as if I wanted to look towards somebody that either, and I feel it's to do with this name, this Sherwin or Sherlock. I got both of the names at the same time, and also the name Margaret, and something about this name of Audrey. And I don't know whether Audrey's, but I feel she's connected. She's got something to do with this name, which I wasn't at first certain of. And if this is so, then at some time you've known somebody by the name of Harper. You've known somebody by the name of Harper.
Yes.
Yes, the name of Harper.
There were the people that owned our house in Bishop's Road.
Right, now, if you've known this name of Harper, if you know the name of Harper, would you also, at some points, would you either have known anything like Electric Road?
Yes.
Electric Road. Right, because I've got this name, I've got something with this name, electric something. And I can certainly feel now, whether it's because of that connection that we're making, but I can certainly feel the energy of spirit that is there. So where this first bit that I haven't yet placed has come in, but there's something to do with that. There's definitely something to do with that, where I felt the whole thing would have been connected, and I'm just aware, I'm just very aware of somebody just saying to me, I'm Edie. I'm Edie. I'm Edie. I was a lady was just saying Edie. And she certainly was referred to, and she would have been known as Edie.
Yes.
Edie. It may have been Edith, but Edie is what I got. Edie is this name that I was getting. And I'm very aware of her. I'm very aware of the lady, and she's quite upright. This lady that's sort of coming in. I think it's different to the Edie or the name that I was first receiving. It's a different feeling as I seem to get with this other lady that's coming in from the spirit world. But as I got the awareness of the lady coming in, I was very, very conscious, and I was very aware of somebody that was just saying to me, Granny Neil.
Yes.
Granny Neil.
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yes. Now this connection, quite definitely then, is sort of there at the moment. And I don't know whether you would understand, or where this name sort of came, this Granny Neil. I don't know whether you would understand where there could have been a piece of jewellery that would have belonged to that person.
Yes.
Because there's something about it, it's almost as if it's gone through sort of generations.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes, because again the feeling that I was sort of getting with that lady. And there's a gentleman there. I can feel a gentleman in the spirit world. And he's just sort of taking me forward. He's only just moving forward slightly, but it seems to be somewhere into the month of February. And I felt that as I touched February, I was touching an anniversary. I was linking to an anniversary. And I felt that as I sort of came to this time, because it was just ringing there, he was just sort of holding out, and it was just a clump in his hand. But when I say it's a clump, I mean they do look sort of natural, but the more I kind of look at them, which is the not strange thing exactly, but perhaps unusual, the more I sort of look at these snowdrops that this man's holding out.
It's my father.
Your father?
Yes.
Well, I just feel very conscious with these snowdrops, but the more I seem to look at them, the more they seem as if they're not quite what I thought they were in the sense of being real. But they're like jewels, you know, they're almost like something that could have been crafted or made, because it's almost as if they're sculptured in some way. And I just felt as though they on first sight, you could have been mistaken for thinking they were real, because in actual fact they're not, but they're still, or almost as beautiful, one might say, as the real thing, but they're sort of, I don't know what the white part is, but certainly the green part, it's almost like a sort of a kind of a, I don't know, a lapis maybe, or something like this, the stonework, but they've been made, and it seems like he's giving these to you, just as if he's bringing them in there from the Spirit Lord this evening. And I just seen somebody just right there. I just saw it come up, but I could see the stain of Marjorie. I saw it very, very clearly. Yes. Just as it came up.
My mother.
Right. Well, the link there, the link in this way is this togetherness, and I feel from this energy that's sort of being brought in there at the present time. I feel very, very strongly, particularly to do with, you said, your father. I feel from him in particular. He seems to be sort of almost looking out. When I say he's looking out, I don't mean at the congregation, but I felt as if he was looking on the horizon. It was just as if he was looking on the horizon. And as that sort of image sort of came, it seemed at first as if I couldn't really see anything, as either it was very misty or it was a very dull day, but suddenly it all cleared. It all seemed to clear, and as it cleared, I felt a smile on his face. And as that smile sort of came onto his face, I felt an awareness. Yes. Yes. I felt an awareness of almost this clarity that seems to be coming in. So there's something there very much. There's something there very much that he seems to be giving me this impression and bringing a realization of seeing something quite differently than at the present time. There's something, well, if it is the present time, I felt it was the present time. I felt that was the feeling that he was actually giving to me. You said you knew the name of Harper. You said it was something to do with a house. But if you go back there, could you find anything at all where there could have been somebody near to you, or anybody that could have lived close by, where you would have known the name of Audrey?
Next door.
Next door. Could there have been anything to do with Audrey and anything with a sister?
Oh, yes, I've got the sister's name is Margaret.
Margaret, that's it, right. Because this contact is just bringing me back in. Now, if you found that, was there anything at all, anything where there could have been anything to do with the name of Shirley?
I've no idea about that.
Well,
I can ask.
Right, well, just keep it in mind, because you see, this that I started with has sort of brought me back. It's just brought me back into that contact and into that energy. And would there have been anything to do with Audrey or her sister? Would there have been anything to do with the daughter? Could they have had a daughter?
Yes, that's what who I would have to ask.
Right. It's nothing to do with the name of Anne, is it?
No.
Name of Anne.
No.
Well, just see where this name of Anne comes in as well. See where something to do with this name of Anne comes in. Because I'm also very conscious for some reason of this name of Anne that I've just either picked up on or it's just come in the sense of that contact that I'm giving to you. But I want to leave you with those snowdrops because I can still see them again. They're very, very, very beautiful, but they're being given there by your Father as this gift to you from the Spirit world this evening, this afternoon, with His love in the way that's come. There's somebody that's down here. Thank you. There's somebody down here, and I've got and it's whilst I was talking at the back. What is the name of the red? Well, it is a shade of red. I thought it was there, the gentleman next to you, for a moment. Because I was watching something, I could see somebody from the sense of the corner of where I was standing, and they just seemed to sort of come there. They just seemed to come, and I could feel again. I feel the energy sort of changing in this way. Now I don't know if there's any time. I don't know any time you've known someone to do the name of Sarah. Sarah, yes. Now, if you know this name of Sarah, would you also, at some point, again, I don't know whether it's in connection or it's separate, have you known to do with Cobden Street at all?
I know what.
Cobden Street.
Someone lives there now, family.
In Cobden Street, yes, Cobden Street. Because as well as this name of Sarah that's coming from the spirit world, I got another lady that's sort of joining in. I seem to have a connection with another lady that's linking there. And she's talking about, well, she's giving me something to do with Bill. She's giving me something to do with Bill. Because I'm aware of this name of Bill that's been brought in. And I felt with this other lady, now I don't know whether she knew Sarah, the second lady that I got, but I felt that I was actually talking about, because the feeling seems to come to me with this other lady, that I've got a sense of a mother. I almost feel like a mother with this second lady that's there in the spirit world, because she's kind of looking on in this way. And I don't know whether there's any time, I don't know whether you would have known anything to do with a name of Whittaker. Got a name of Whittaker. And as this name of Whittaker sort of came, it was something to do with a shop. It was something to do with a shop. And I wasn't sure whether it was a sort of a kind of a general shop, but I think it sold different things in this shop. It sold different things, and I was very conscious because I could see something to do with this shop, and I could see somewhere near to this shop, but in the window there was certainly what looked like, it wasn't a butcher's shop, it was definitely not a butcher's shop, but near to this shop that I'm referring to, there was this other shop, and I can see what looks like tripe. I can almost see it inside the window, but I think it was actually a fish and chip shop. So I think it was something to do with somewhere or some memory, or some feeling that's sort of given to me. And it's relating, it seems to relate, or have something to do with the place, almost of where she's showing to me. Something to do with the place of where she's showing to me. Can you understand that?
Can't take it to her.
No. Do you know anything about the fish and chip shop and the trolley?
Yes.
Yes, something to do with that. Right. Was there near to there? Was there either a general shop or something like that that was not far from that shop, where they were close by? Something where they would have been near to, because I can see the two things almost as if they're almost as if they could be side by side. And I felt that she was making me aware, or she seemed to be giving me something to do with. And it's something to do with the grave. She's making me aware of the grave. And something about this grave, something relating to this grave. And I felt from her as though she'd sort of been there. But I think in actual fact she's saying, you've done there. She's giving me the impression that you've done there. And she used to sometimes, this lady, obviously when she was here, she would sometimes take with her, and I could see it going on to fill what, I don't know what it was she was filling, but obviously it was to do with water. To just, do you understand? Because it's like as if I've got all this feeling about what I'm actually seeing. Are you anywhere near to a school now?
Yes.
Very close to a school? Because I can hear quite a sense of noise, but it sounds lively noise, and it sounded like young children. Almost sounded like young children, because again she was taking me somewhere in the sense of where this school would be. And I think she must have, not only now from the spirit world, but I think she must have, when she was here, I think she must have visited there. I think she must have gone there at some point, because it's almost there's a feeling about it. Would she ever have come to your home? That
She lived 3 doors along from
right, because she's just giving me that impression. She's giving me that impression. You don't know anything like 324 238 324 238.
Yes.
324.
No.
32, yes, I can just see this number. I can see it there. It's sort of coming up in the top. And 324 238. But she says that's to do with the other house. That's to do with the other house. Can you understand that? So I don't know whether she's referring to somewhere else, but she's saying that's to do with the other house.
Yes.
She's giving me a feeling about something at the moment. And as she's looking on, because she's very in charge now, I feel from her, she's very in charge. And she's just sort of reaching out from the spirit world. There's also somebody, there's either somebody that she knew or somebody she's met by the name of Harry. I seem to have something with this name of Harry that comes in as I'm just talking to you. And I don't know whether, yes. Is it anything to do with, yes. Have you been to Cobden Street? Did you say it was a relative?
Yes.
That's there. Yeah. Is this in 70 something, is it?
Yes.
I can see 7 something. It's almost as if I'm looking at something on a door.
76.
76, right, because I've just got the start of something with this door, to do with this house, because again it's as if she's sort of connecting me. And I know that she's wanting you, she's wanting you to realise because she's almost enforcing this as she's coming through. But she's just saying things are never as bad as they appear now. And she's just kind of, because I can see her sort of looking on, but again I've got this smile, and she's just saying every cloud has a silver lining. And you know, she was sort of, at times she could be quite optimistic. She sort of look upon things and think, well, never mind, it'll change, things change, you know that. And I don't know whether it's I don't know whether it's any time. I don't know whether ever knew anything. But of all things, I could just see, and I thought, but I'm talking about in the sense that it would have been somebody, I assume, that perhaps you knew. Would you ever have known at some time anybody that could have been a lollipop lady? A lollipop lady. I could see I saw the sign. I saw it as clearly. I saw the sign. And I felt as though I wanted to, because I can see something, and I can see something to do with, and again, it just seems to come over the front of somewhere. I can see something to do with Brown's the Butchers. Brown's the Butchers. Now, there was something to do with Brown's the Butchers, and I felt near to this butcher's. There would have been a public house. There would have been something to do with a public house, but I think it's gone. I feel as though it's gone. Where this butcher's was, and then this public house was, and it's as though I wanted to sort of go, because if I was going one way, I could get into somewhere to do with Cobden Street. It's almost as if I'm walking up slightly, and it's there. I want you to take your mind back. I want you to take your mind back, because I feel there's something that you'll either remember, something that you'll remember or recall, relating to something to do with somebody that would have been a lollipop person, and this, it's almost as though it was a kind of somebody that either she saw or you saw. There's a kind of a feeling or a memory that's just coming with it. But I know that feeling was there, and it's being brought in. So will you just take the love there that comes, and take it from her very much around you. I don't know whether she suffered with the dark, but somebody certainly did. And I haven't seen one of those for a very long time. I've just seen a belladonna plaster.
Yeah.
Yes, and somebody used that, you know, because I could just see it, just as though I was just putting this belladonna plaster just down, and I just suddenly felt myself straightening up. And I'm talking now in the sense of your mother and that contact, because she has straightened herself up. She's looking on, and she's looking on with such pride as she comes in from the spirit world today to you. So please accept her love and bear love as they come to you this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just give a short one. I just got something. I did get something else just quickly, and then I will sort of. I didn't think it was the lady because I was last talking to. I didn't think it was there, but it seems to move across, and then I just seem to become aware, because I felt I just wanted to be sure for a moment before I just sort of continue, because if I don't get the feeling, but I do feel it's there. I actually feel it's to do with you, Eric, if I may. If it isn't, then please listen. If you're close by. But would you know anything at all? Would you understand anything to do with the 1st of January?
Yes, indeed.
The 1st of January?
Yes, indeed.
Right. Well, I'm taking it, I mean, it could be all manner of things, but I took it as though it could be somebody's birthday.
My mother's birthday.
Right. Okay. Right. Because I just saw that, and I just became very, very conscious as well as receiving that. I also became very aware that I wanted to speak of. Now, I'm not talking about Frank Towns.
No.
I'm not talking about Frank Towns. But I did want to speak of the name of Frank that's in the spirit world.
I can understand that.
I wanted to bring in the name of Frank. And as this name came, I also got something to do with, and I wasn't sure whether it was a Christian name or a surname, but I wanted to bring in the name of Owen.
That was it. Frank Owen was the name of the person I was evacuated to in the war.
Right. Because this name was just coming there. It was just coming in. I got the name of Frank, and then I also got this name of Owen that followed. Now, you said that the 1st was something to do with your mother.
My mother's birthday.
Right. Because when I was talking with the lady, and I just had the awareness of just that date, but then I could feel an energy there. It wasn't actually, I have to say, it wasn't to do with the lady, but I was very, very conscious. I was very, very conscious of the young man there. Now, do you know that you've lost your son?
Yes.
I know that. I'm very aware of that. Because I was very conscious of this young man. He was just standing there, sort of looking up. And I felt his energy sort of coming in. And then it sort of changed, because by the time I just sort of came down to the front, I was also very conscious of the other connection that was brought in. Have you known the name of Kathleen at some time?
Yes, indeed.
Kathleen. Yes. Because I have this name of Kathleen that I'm just wanting to bring. And although this has got nothing to do with your son, but he does seem to be looking on. And although we've had a song today, an older song, which has been in connection with Gordon, but I've got another very old song here. Now he certainly is not bringing that, but he's just looking on. I've got another old song here, Come Into the Garden, Lord.
Well, that was my mother's name, and they used to sing it. Maud was her mother's name.
Well, I just suddenly heard it. I just became aware of this song. It was just coming to me. And I felt that he was looking on, and I feel that somehow between her in the spirit world that there is this union. And him being there with his grandmother. But there's a lovely feeling that's just sort of coming with it and coming in the way that is given to you today. So I know that he wants you to again to have this love, their love that's been brought in from the spirit world today. As I'm just moving away, I don't know if you've known him to do the name. It looks to me like Ratchet or Raggett.
Raggett is my cousin's wife, just David.
I just saw this name, Rabbit.
Yes.
Just this name, Rabbit. It just sort of came in front of me. Well, if you say you just stayed there, we just had this sort of connection there. I do feel that he, and I'm talking now about his son, I think he's been with you.
I'm not surprised.
He's been with you. He's been with you from his spirit world. So please accept it and take care of it. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Gerard. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now invite our students to come round for your Ladies and gentlemen, you've joined me now in our last hymn this afternoon, after which I'll ask General to know the absolution prayer. And our final hymn this afternoon, the Lord is my shepherd. If you will stand, please.
The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. He makes me down to lie in pastures green. He leadeth me the quiet waters by. My soul he doth restore again, and lead to walk of many within the paths of righteousness, in for his own name's sake. Yea, though I walk in depths of vale, yet will I fear no ill, for thou art with me, and thy rod and staff me comfort still. My table thou hast furnished in presence of my foes. My head thou dost with oil anoint, and my cup overflows. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me, and in God's house forevermore my dwelling place shall be.
On this day of all days, on this anniversary day, to mark the occasion of Gordon Long's Higginson, to remember him with affection, to recognise his wonderful gifts of the Spirit, his inspiration, and all of those things that have been referred to and talked about individually in the tributes that have been given today. We do indeed. We say thank you, Heavenly Father, for his life and for the memories, as we do of that of his mother. And we are indeed, each one of us, we are blessed in different ways with our understanding and our awareness of those very things that are of the Spirit, which uphold and brought about all things that somehow brought a change from within. And we know that that change from within comes somehow at different points in our lives. But it is with the certainty, and it is with the love of the Spirit that has helped us to go forward and also to conquer. May we this day, as we recognise those laws of the Spirit and all that we're part of, may we realise that through that power that has served for so long, that that blessing shall be upon us and upon this church. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to say a few words. I'd like to thank everyone for attending our service today. And just to share my thoughts on this day. As we know, the weather's been not too good to us today at all. But a lot of people have made an extreme effort to make their way to our church, to remember all the work that's been done by the Higginson family, so that we can have this church, so that we can come here and learn. I never had the privilege of meeting Lord Higginson, but he's touched my life in many ways. But it was early last year, 2012, that I was talking with John Mansell, one of our vice presidents, about the trans address from Christmas 1992, because I had recently read the transcript. And I know people have touched on lots of things about Gordon today with their tributes. The realisation that 20 years was fast approaching, and that the 20th anniversary of Gordon's passing, and that we should mark this in some way. With the help and hard work of our committee and members, this wonderful tribute, our service remembrance for a truly inspirational man, Gordon Barnes Higginson. We believe it fitting that a presentation for the dedication to spiritualism, hard work and friendship. Now, today we should have had Minister Eric Hatton doing our address. Unfortunately, Eric couldn't join us today, but as far as I believe it was Dudley, and had to turn back. So we'd just like to mention that we were going to present a keepsake to Mr. Eric Hatton, which we will forward to you. But also, Gerald knows nothing about this. We've got a keepsake to Gerald for all the hard work that he's done for spiritualism, that he's done for this church and for all of us. So, on behalf of all of us, Gerald, will you accept this award? Once again, I'd like to thank you all for your presence today. I'd like to thank everyone who's worked so hard to make this day possible, even though we haven't had the greatest weather to kind of do that. A lot of people have done a lot of hard work to do this and to lay this on. So I'd like to say a special thank you to Mr. Edward Finn for all the hard work, to the committee, the volunteers, for you for coming today and making this possible. And as you can see, it has been recorded. And there will be an DVD at some later date. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. Now, if you would like to make your way into our schoolroom, refreshments will be served. So, thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for all you've done. Thank you. Just like to invite our Treasury Secretary, immediately to open our display. So, I'll be over to you.
We're going to do an unveiling, but I don't want to pull the whole lot down. So, it's sort of displayed already. As Phil had already said, it was early last year when we thought we needed to do something special to mark this event. And we decided quite quickly that lots we've got that extra special connection, and we wanted to record things about Gordon the man. Edna kindly volunteered to collate the information. Initially, this was about interviewing the family, some of our local mediums who worked with or were tutored by Gordon, and our honorary members who will have memories of him from the old church. As word got round, the list of names that we could interview got longer and longer until we had to stop, or else we would be able to fill the entire church walls with memories of Gordon, who touched so many people. What you see behind us is Longton's personal tribute to Gordon. We, the committee and members, feel honoured and privileged to have had him as part of our true history. And finally, this event has taken months of Edna's time, and I would like to thank her, not just for her time, but for her dedication and care. All these memories have been treated lovingly to make sure that your precious memories are recorded correctly. She's taken great care with photographs to make sure they are copied and returned to their owners, because memories are very precious. And so, as a very small gesture, to say thank you to Edna.
And within 20 minutes, I buzzed in at the back. And I have to say that Margaret Davis, you were on the platform, and she said, "The lady that's just come in at the back, I need to speak to you." And she said, "You're doing something on board now, Gordon here." And we thought, this is wonderful. And we looked at each other, John and Phil and myself, and we smiled. And after we said, "My word, this is better than British Telecom," because it was less than 20 minutes before we decided how we were going to work. And after that, there was 8 different mediums that came at 8 different times. And I have to say that Rich Jones was another one of them. Sheila Green, all not linking with Gordon, but telling us something about what was being done. Papers being shuffled, almost like a jigsaw. And so when I started this, it was wonderful. I have to say, it's the only time I've been able to track Gerard Smith for any amount of time. It was wonderful talking to Gerard because he knew all about Fanny and Gordon, but his family as well. It was wonderful to talk to those. Hazel, who smiled and smiled, and Gillian, who said, "Well, I'd rather you talk about my Uncle Gordon the man," and that's when I decided it would be the man of the medium. So this was all going to be part of it, and then because my net was set wider than that, we've got a book. So we do hope that when the book is passed along, that you will purchase it for your own benefit and for that of your churches, as we can spread the word about Gordon the man and Gordon the medium. And I'd like to thank, my 3 colleagues, which Gerard and John and Phil. And then anyone on the committee that I've approached has been said, "Yes, just go ahead and do it, Edna." So from everything we decided, it's been absolutely wonderful to work with those on the committee that I've worked with, and to say a great thank you for giving me this privilege of being able to put my name by someone so famous. Thank you so much.